Hey guys, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing another try a chapter book tag-ish video. I decided to do this because I was pretty bored tonight and I thought, why not make another try a chapter book tag? Those always tend to be pretty fun for me, and I love getting to read the first chapter of a book that I really want to read and get a feel for it and decide from there if it's something I'm really interested in picking up right away. So I have 8 books with me that I've recently hauled. Some of these are on my April TBR, and it's these 8 books here that I want to be reading the first chapter of. First one is A Place for Wolves. This one comes out on April 2nd. The next one is Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is an arc that comes out in late April, I'm pretty sure. Next one is Birthday by Meredith Russo. This is an arc that Flatiron Books sent me that comes out May 21st. Next one's going to be Pines by Blake Crouch. The next one's going to be The River by Peter Heller. The next one will be All the Wrong Places by Joy Fielding. Next one's going to be If Then by Kate Hope Day. And then the last one I'll be reading the first chapter of is Inspection by Josh Malerman. I am really looking forward to all of these books and I cannot wait to jump into all of them. I feel like when you read the first chapter of a book, it really does give you like the gist of like the writing style. You get a feel for the mood of the book, you know what I mean? Anyhoodle, let's get right to the first one. I think I'm gonna start with The River because look at that cover. It's like reflective. Can you even see? It's like, I can't even tell the colors. It's crazy. So I'm gonna start with this one. Alright, so I just finished the first chapter and prologue of The River, and the first chapter and prologue combined was 33 pages. So it was a pretty hefty one. So the prologue of this book is basically the premise, like it's about these 2 boys who are best friends going down the river, and then they hear this couple fighting and they're gonna go warn the couple about this wildfire that's going on, and then they're like unsure if they should. Yeah, I feel like this book for me is gonna be really hard to get into because the writing style is kind of hard to get into. There's just a lot of huge chunks of writing and like paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of like info dumping, and there's not a lot of like dialogue or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it kind of just like throws you right into the story, like they're just on the river already, and I kind of expected there to be some like backstory as to like who these 2 guys are and how they became best friends and all that, and maybe it'll eventually get to it, but for the first part of this, like, it's just like they're on the river. And but yeah, that's all I really have to say about the first chapter of this one. I'm still definitely intrigued to read this. I just think it would be a writing style that would take some time to get used to. I think the next one I'm gonna read is gonna be Normal People by Sally Rooney. I just read the first chapters of Normal People by Sally Rooney and Inspection by Josh Malerman. The first chapter of Normal People is about 9 pages, and I didn't realize that the writing style in this book would have no quotation marks around when people talk. I don't know why that's such a pet peeve of mine, but like I really cannot stand when there's no quotes around when people are talking. Like it just says what they say and then it just says comma, says this person, and I'm like, what? That was dialogue? Like I need to go back and read it again, and it just makes my brain so confused, unfortunately, and so I really like dislike when books do that. It's whatever, it's fine, like I can get past it, it's just such a big pet peeve, you know? Other than that, I am actually really enjoying the writing, like the feel and the mood of the book. Like I'm really enjoying that so far, and the only thing that's happened in this book is the main dude, I think his name is Connell, and he like sees the girl that's gonna be his love interest, and there's this like cute moment between them, and it's like when they're meeting, and I don't know, like it sounds like it kind of has like a literary fiction feel to it so far, which I also really like. I don't know, like I am thinking that this book is gonna be something I'm gonna enjoy, but the writing style, the quotation marks, or the lack of quotation marks I should say, is probably gonna get on my nerves with this one, but I'm still really interested in reading this one. And then Inspection by Josh Malerman. Oh my gosh. This first chapter was like 20 pages, and I don't even know what I just read. Like, I am so confused, and there was so much like info dumping, and like, does this even take place in our world? Like, I don't even know. But it mainly follows this boy named Jay, and then the story's told in like 3rd person. They keep talking about this inspection and like all of the inspectors, and like they live in this really tall building that they like never leave, and he's like talking about this like weird dream he's been having. All the names of the boys are like different letters of the alphabet, so we're following the kid that's letter J, but like all of his friends' names are like Q and like A and whatever, and they all have like no names. This book is so strange so far, and I don't know if this is something I'm going to be able to get invested in. Oh my gosh, I was like waiting for the moment to happen when like the whole premise of this book is that it's like these boys and girls are in separate towers and they don't know that the opposite gender exists. Like that's the whole premise of this book, and that's why I'm so interested in picking it up. But like there was obviously no mention of it so far in this first chapter, and I found this chapter really difficult to get into. Like I was kind of bored out of my mind reading it, so it took me a minute to get through this first chapter. I don't know, oh my god, I don't know about this. Like it's not my favorite thing so far, which is disappointing, so I hope this gets better. Like I still do want to read this. Now I'm a little bit less hyped about it, so I don't know. The next two that I'm gonna read is If Then and All the Wrong Places. I'm so excited about these ones. I hope they're great. Alright, so we just finished reading the first chapters of If Then and All the Wrong Places. If Then had a very basic first chapter. It was basically just like the main character getting one of the visions, and she like thought she saw something that she didn't, and then she got called into the hospital and she had to like perform emergency surgery on this elderly man, and that was pretty much the entire first chapter. But this book is about these like parallel realities or parallel universes, so I think her little vision in the beginning was like a little preview of that, but the first chapter of this book does not give you much, so I'm still interested in reading it. There's not really much to go off of with this first chapter. It was only 8 pages, but I'm still interested in reading that one. And then the first chapter of All the Wrong Places was very interesting. All I know about this book is it's about this guy who uses this online dating app to capture these women to kill, and it's like this crazy, sinister, dark thing. And so the story starts being told from his point of view, and the writing is really interesting because it makes you think that he's on a date with this girl in the beginning, and then you realize as this first chapter continues that she's actually like strapped to a chair and like being held against her will, and he's like being super creepy, and he's setting up like, and then he gets a phone call from the girl that's gonna be his next date on the next night, and she's like screaming like, no, don't go, and then he's like to her, and like, oh my god, there's so much drama already in the first chapter of this, and I'm already like so hooked, and I'm like, what? Like, I want to continue reading right now. I freaking love thrillers. Like, thrillers always grab my attention right away. Like, oh my gosh. I kind of immediately want to continue reading this, and this book, I'm actually like thinking I should read this really soon. Like, it was really interesting. This writing style is just something that works so well for me. Like, I really love it. It's very interesting, and it follows from the point of view of the killer, which I didn't think it would, but now that it does, like, I'm even more invested, because I love like reading from the point of view of a psychopath for some reason. Like, it's just so much more interesting. Yeah, really invested in this. This is probably the one I want to just start reading the most out of all of these so far, so that's amazing. Alright, and now I'm just gonna read the first chapter of these final 3, and I'll get back to you. So I finally finished the last 3 first chapters of the books. The first one I finished is A Place for Wolves. This one is a young adult LGBT novel that's like a romance between these 2 boys, and the reason why I wanted to read this one is because it compares itself to Aristotle and Dante on the back of this. This one follows these 2 boys who are in like the middle of a war, and so the first chapter is just talking about how he's like writing a letter to his sister saying like he thinks he's gonna die here, and he's like really concerned about his parents, and then he's talking about how sweet his boyfriend is, and how like his boyfriend is like the only thing getting him through this war. I don't usually like to read books that are about like war because it's just like, I don't know, it makes me sad, and I can never really get invested in stories that revolve around war. Like, so far it's okay, it's not like super grabbing my attention or anything, but I don't know, and I can't really tell with this writing if it's historical fiction or not, or if this is like a war that's supposed to be happening now. This one's interesting so far, but it's not something I'm like rushing to grab and read immediately. The next one I finished was Pines by Blake Crouch, and Blake Crouch is one of my favorite authors because he wrote the book Dark Matter, which is one of my all-time favorites, and this book follows this man who like wakes up in this town, Wayward Pines in Idaho, and he doesn't know where he is or who he is. He doesn't remember his name. Like, he literally only remembers the fact that he's 37 years old and that he can play piano and fly a helicopter, and that's literally all he remembers. Like, he doesn't know who he is and where he came from. He just like woke up with no memory, and so he's just like, the first chapter is basically him just like wandering around this town trying to find his way and stumbling upon the Wayward Pines Hotel, and like, it's really interesting so far. Like, I really do love the mystery of this like setup and this premise. Like, I love the trope of like somebody waking up with no memory. Like, I just think it's such a perfect trope to set up a really good mystery, and I'm already kind of like invested in this and want to know what the fuck is going on and what's happening, so I really am looking forward to reading this one. And then the last one that I just finished reading is Birthday by Meredith Russo, and this one is a young adult contemporary novel. So all I know about this from the premise is that it follows these two teenagers who are born on the same day, and then we get to follow what happens in their lives on snapshots of their birthdays throughout 60 different years on their birthdays, and that's all we get to see. So the story starts on their 13th birthday, and the first chapter is from Morgan's point of view, and it follows Morgan and Eric, and Morgan is debating whether or not to tell Eric that he wants to be a girl, and that's like the first chapter, and I was like, whoa, like, this is getting into some like deep stuff right in the beginning, and it was such a powerful first chapter. Like, holy crap, like, I really want to read this like now. Like, it was so sad because like in the first chapter they're like playing in the pool together, and the mom is like, are you boys ready for lunch? And then he kind of like flinches at the word boy because he's like debating whether or not he should tell Eric right then and there that he wants to be a girl. I feel like this was such a great first chapter, and like, this is something I'm really gonna enjoy. Like, this is already giving me like This Is How It Always Is vibes, but like the young adult version. I really did like this author's other book, If I Was Your Girl. I read that a couple years ago and I remember really enjoying that, and so I feel like this is also going to be something I'm really going to enjoy. But so far it's already given me all of the feels. So that's awesome. But I think out of these 8 books that I just read, the 4 that I'm most excited to pick up after reading the first chapter is definitely Normal People, Birthday, Pines, and All the Wrong Places. And I don't think anybody is surprised that 2 of them are thrillers, because, you know, thrillers always tend to be the most promising from the beginning, at least in my opinion. The 4 that I'm like not as interested in reading right away are The River, Inspection, If Then, and A Place for Wolves, which I'm really shocked about Inspection because I thought this one was in my most anticipated books of the year video, and I was highly anticipating this. So if I don't end up enjoying this, I'm gonna be pretty bummed about it. I'm still really interested in reading If Then. It's just like the first chapter wasn't very gripping or interesting, or nothing really like insane happened, so like the first chapter was very forgettable for that one, I guess. But I mean, yeah, I think the most promising first chapter out of all of these was probably All the Wrong Places or Birthday, which I wasn't expecting. Like, these both had amazing first chapters, and now I want to drop everything that I'm currently reading and read both of these immediately. Yeah, this one is already on my April TBR, but this one wasn't on my April TBR, so now your girl's gonna have to add this to my April TBR. This is why I don't like making a TBR, because I always end up like changing my mind. Like, I'm such a mood reader. So I think this was a success. I really do like making these try a chapter videos. I've made a couple of them before, so I can link all the ones that I've made before this in the description if this is a kind of video that interests you as well. But I do really like making try a chapter videos just because I love getting a taste of the book, and it helps me figure out what I want to read, and it gets me excited about books that I might have not been excited about before. It's just a great time. So let me know if you still really enjoy these try a chapter videos. Maybe I'll have to make them like once every month or once every 2 months. Like, I don't know, but I really enjoy doing them, and I hope you enjoy watching them. Let me know your thoughts on any of these books. If you've read any of these books, let me know your thoughts on them, or if you're also really excited to read any of these books, then let me know if you plan on reading them as well. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys soon with a new video.